As we look at going into the winter months, I think one of the things that's really important is to build our mental resilience. Now, the question is, how do you do that? How do you build mental resilience? That is what we're going to talk about today on The Streaking Show. Welcome. I'm Jeff Downs. Let's start streaking. What is streaking and why should you do it?
Streaking is how you set up personal winning streaks. Look at who you want to be and what you need to do to become that person. This is streaking.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jamie.
And we are streakers. Through 30 years of marriage and 7 children, we have learned the power of consecutive consistency or streaking.
To start streaking is simple. You just follow these 3 laws. Make it laughably simple, keep a record, and join the streaking community.
Streaking is your hidden superpower. With it, you will consistently progress and grow in whatever area of life you want.
In this podcast, Jeff and I will share all the fun, exciting, serious, solemn, wonderful parts of family, spiritual, professional, and personal life, and how streaking powers it all.
So join us in the conversation, join the movement, and start streaking today. One of the things that happens often in winter months is because the sun is going down sooner and it's dark longer, there is a tendency to have a little bit tougher time mentally. And any number of studies can show that, and you can go and look at it. I didn't do any research on that particularly. But what I wanted to talk about with today's Streaking Show is all about the mental resilience and how the small wins really do build your mental resilience and how it helps you through some of those tough times. By the way, just a side note, first of all, my co-host is not with me today, Jamie. She'll join us again coming up soon. And one of the things that we recently celebrated that I wanted to just celebrate with you is our 500th week of running or walking at least 1 mile, 6 days a week. 500 weeks is equal to, just to give a little bit of perspective, is equal to 9 years of keeping this streak alive. And through that time, we have been through all kinds of things at keeping that streak alive, from moving from Colorado to Georgia to Utah, or let's see here, Colorado, Georgia, back to Colorado for a year, building a house, moving to Utah, plus all of the different children that have either gotten married, gone on to college, serving missions. Any one of those things has happened during that time. And any number of changes as far as circumstances, jobs, whatever else it's as. My job hasn't changed recently, but just all kinds of different circumstances have changed. And through it all, one of the things that I've really appreciated is the streak and streaks that I've been able to keep alive, which is why I wanted to talk to you just a little bit about how the streaks build mental resilience and how small wins build a strong mind. Now, you often hear and know about big wins. Things that people are doing are televised that are what I'll call big outcomes. When you look at the big outcomes, there's a lot of them out there and many that you could put your finger on. But the question is what led to that big outcome? And how is it that individuals developed the mental resilience to be able to accomplish those big outcomes? Well, today we'll uncover how small, consistent victories can transform your mindset and your resilience. So first, let's talk a little bit about the psychology of small wins and mental resilience. Through the years, there's been many psychological studies which have looked at how there's small tasks that when one can trigger dopamine, and that dopamine release in the brain has a reinforcement effect upon positive behavior. And believe me, there is a substantial body of research in regards to this small tasks and achieving small wins. And you know, because there's any number of books with even the title small in them. As we have, Jamie and I have unlocked the consistency door or built the consistency muscle through streaks, we really have found that this dopamine reward system is real. Every day when I wake up, I know that there's going to be a number of tasks or activities that I'm going to accomplish, and that has built a winning mentality. You see, when you have a win in your brain, okay, you complete a task or achieve a goal, no matter how small, your brain releases dopamine. And this provides a sense of pleasure or satisfaction, which reinforces the positive behavior, making it more likely that I'm going to do it again. Now, I'm going to caution all of us for just a second, because I think that one thing that can happen is we start to think that these positive feelings and these emotions and what we feel inside the dopamine rush can become automatic. In some instances, it may. However, most of the time, I have found that it doesn't become automatic. Some of the research that's been done on this has been by Schultz in 1998, and the research done by Schultz shows that dopamine neurons are activated in response to reward-predicting stimuli. The activation not only occurs when the reward is larger than expected, but also when small, anticipated rewards are received. And I'm going to talk about this just a little bit more in a second. These small releases of dopamine help solidify behaviors that lead to repeated success. Because what is a streak? A streak is a series of successes, an uninterrupted series of successes or wins. Now, one of the things in the Schultz study that it talks about is when a reward is larger than expected, but also when it's small. Now, larger than expected. Let's take a minute on that. I've talked with several streakers through the years who have, once they've been streaking for a period of time, inevitably come across a moment where they have a breakthrough result. And this breakthrough result has been building up through time, through all of these small wins, and all of a sudden there is a epic win, a huge outcome, something that you did not expect. And now it's there and available and you feel it. It is a huge rush of dopamine. That will keep you streaking, because there will be a point where the streak, you'll ask yourself, does it really make that much of a difference to do this small, simple thing and to keep that small, simple thing alive? When you hit breakthrough moments, the answer to that comes clear, it's loud. It's shouted loud and clear that yes, it's totally worth it. Berridge and Robinson in 1998 explained that dopamine is linked to the brain's reward system, but it also influences the wanting or motivation aspect of behavior, meaning it helps drive us to pursue more of these actions that led to the initial dopamine release. Carl Wick in 1984 suggests that achieving minor victories, such as completing small tasks, creates a sense of accomplishment and positive momentum. Each small win builds on the previous one, making larger, more difficult goals seem attainable over time. Wick's research highlights that small wins can help manage complexity and create a positive spiral where small successes lead to motivation and also perseverance. This process often helps individuals maintain engagement and overcome inertia, particularly when working toward larger, long-term goals. Now, you know, and I know, that is what streaking is all about. It's the reason why the first law of streaking is make it laughably simple. Each one of these laughably simple gains gives you mental toughness. It builds mental strength. It helps you build the mental resilience. That's really what you're striving diligently to do. And I love this how who was it that was talking about this? It was Wick's research. Overcome inertia. Inside of each one of us, inside of our brains, is, I believe, a stop block. It just stops you from doing anything that would require a huge amount of effort and energy. It could be tracked back. It could be tracked to us wanting to survive. It could be tracked to reserving energy so that if ever we have to be running from a predator, we can do that. All of those things are real and have an impact on us. What we're striving to do with the streak is overcome that initial rejection response from the brain so that we can accomplish the thing that we know is going to be ultimately good for our mental health. Often the physical and the mental are at odds with each other. They don't like one another, even though they need each other. The physical wants to preserve any amount of energy possible so that if there's ever a time, especially now, here's another thing with winter, a time of famine, so that there are reserves on board. We're spending the least amount of energy to store the most amount of energy in a time of need, so that we have it in a time of need. And as we enter into winter, that's part of the natural rhythm, is there's not going to be as much food, and therefore we need to store that food. There's been studies done on this, that people gain weight as they come into winter, and that is part of the body's natural response. So what we're striving to do is overcome some of those natural tendencies in order to continue to do the things which are good for our mental health, because what happens with our physical body is not always good for our mental body, if you will. Our mental body, or our mental strength, our mental resilience, needs to be exercised. We need to do things like, for example, another one of my streaks, read at least one paragraph in a nonfiction book every day. That needs to be exercised. That exercising, and when you look at it, the smallness of that particular task, read at least one paragraph in a nonfiction book, that allows you to overcome that natural tendency and build mental resilience. As you build your mental resilience, you'll also start to see progress. One of the other research studies that was done by neuroscientist Andrew Huberman. And he discussed how dopamine release is not only linked to the achievement of goals, but also to the pursuit of goals. Each time you move closer to a goal, the brain releases dopamine, providing ongoing motivation to continue. Dr. Huberman highlights how progress, even incremental progress, leads to dopamine spikes that fuel further effort. This is why breaking down large tasks into smaller manageable chunks can keep individuals motivated, prevent burnout, and keep going. Each step in this is its own reward. And when you talk about streaking and streaks, that's exactly what it is. Now, recently, I talked with a streaker who said, it's interesting in the My Streaks app how you have streaks that you just keep going and going and going. He said, but I'd really like something that shows that I'm accomplishing an output. In other words, I have a goal. I looked at the My Streaks app and I considered that. I thought, you know what? You know how we have folders inside of the app? Originally, they were linked to having a B statement. Then we had it as kind of a categorization system where you can put folders. You put the name of your goal in the folder and then put a couple of streaks underneath it. Like, for example, one of the streaks that Jamie and I have just embarked on has to do with a financial goal that we're striving to accomplish. And so I just put that in the folder. I put what the goal was and exactly what it was that we wanted to accomplish in this financial pursuit. And then I put 3 streaks underneath it. One was a daily streak, one was a weekly streak, and another was a monthly streak. Those 3 streaks are going to lead to accomplishing the goal, because that is really what we need, is the activity necessary to accomplish the goal. This also builds the mental resilience and creates the behavior that I want to maintain going forward. I want to have these behaviors going forward. So why do streaks work for mental resilience? Because it allows you to have the small wins, to get the dopamine hits, and to overcome that natural rejection response. There's a couple of people I'd like to highlight who you may have heard of that don't necessarily call what they do streaks. However, they are streaks nonetheless. Maya Angelou, who is a renowned poet and author, is known for her relentless daily writing streaks. In fact, there was one time where she rented a hotel room, and she rented this room to create a consistent environment where she could write for hours every day, even on days she didn't feel inspired. This consistency, regardless of the quality of the output, built the mental resilience that helped her handle the demands of creativity and the ups and downs of writing. How about another individual, Michael Phelps? He is great at visualization and also training streaks. You know that he's an Olympic swimmer. He's known not only for his physical training, but also his mental streak of visualization. Phelps visualized every single race, every single day for years. His mental streak of constant practice and his visualizing success reinforced his resilience in competition, allowing him to stay calm under pressure and perform consistently at the highest level. I want to just pause on that one for a second. Recently, and I have to look at my streaks here, I started a streak to visualize success at least one time every day. Let me just see where I put that under, because I think that, and I put it under continuous learner. That is the folder I was talking about earlier. And it is visualize success at least one time every day. As you listen to Phelps, and he visualizes winning his races, what I do is typically sometime throughout the day. A lot of times it's in the morning, but that's the great part about a streak is it's not reliant on when in the day I do it. It's more important that I get it done. The streak that I have in visualizing success at least one time every day can range in any number of areas, from speaking on stage to the run that I'm going to do in the morning to the task that I'm going to complete in regards to seeing how I read a book. All of those things are visualization opportunities. As I have done this, I've noticed a marked increase in my resilience and ability to accomplish and be productive. Just a quick story. I was speaking at the Opryland Hotel, and where was that? In Nashville, Tennessee. I'd been asked by a particular group to speak on streaking. And I remember the night before I went and checked out the hall to the people I'd be speaking. It was fitted for about 1,300 people. The next day before I was on, just before lunch is when I was coming on. And so in the morning when I woke up, I completed a few of my streaks. And then for this visualization streak, I sat down, I closed my eyes, and I visualized every single moment of the keynote that I'd be giving. I pictured what I looked like on stage, the different hand gestures that I would make, to whom I would be speaking, where I would stand on stage, the words that I would be saying. And it was a 45-minute it was a 45-minute keynote. After picturing all that, I then went to the place where I was going to be delivering the keynote. I happened to be the last keynote before they went on for lunch. The individual who was right before me was a person that was expert in the world of artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence is something that each one of us, if you haven't experienced it yet, should. It is quite amazing what artificial intelligence can help you with. ChatGPT specifically helps me in all kinds of areas of my work and ideas for writing and research, also for writing that I do in Why Streaks Work. As I was sitting there listening to this particular individual pontificate upon all the different ways that AI was going to advance the whole human experience, I started to feel a little bit like I'm being upstaged here. This person, with everything that they're talking about, is exciting the audience. These 1,300 people, I looked around as this individual was speaking on stage, and they were all full attention on what it was that he was saying. Now, I had visualized every part of my particular keynote, but I did not visualize what would happen before if I had a person that was on before me that was in my mind, had a more interesting topic and presented it in quite the persuasive way. So I started to think through it. I thought, how am I going to move from what this individual is saying to what I'm going to be talking about in regards to consistency? Here you have this really sexy topic of artificial intelligence, and I have this very mundane topic, or you might call streaking sexy, but you have this very mundane topic of consistency. How do I bridge these two worlds? How do I not lose this entire audience when I go up on stage? It did not hit me until I was walking to the stairs where I would go up onto the stage, where behind me there was just huge projection screens that would project my camera image out to the audience, because it's, a big audience, 1,300 people. As I walked up the stage, it all of a sudden hit me how I was going to introduce what it was I was going to speak about and how I would tie it together. So I got up on stage, I looked at everyone and I said, isn't artificial intelligence amazing? All the things that were just talked about are amazing. However, none of them happen without human intelligence. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, is the how to foster your intelligence and how to make it such that you have constant success every single day, lifting your intelligence and your leadership capabilities and your success such that you can use the AI that was shown today in a way that transforms not only this world, but also helps you to transform the work around you and your life. But it requires HI. There's no AI without HI. And that's what I went on with. I firmly believe that it was because I visualized what it was that success looked like in giving that keynote speech that I was able to be calm enough to think through how it is that I could tie into this particular subject. Now, I do not deny, I am a God-fearing individual, that there was divinity that was involved with that. Inspiration is where preparation and prayer are put together for inspiration from divine sources. I believe that there was divine inspiration that came to help me link all that together. When you are visualizing success, you're building mental resiliency. And this whole streak here of visualize success at least one time every day, no matter what it is, will help you to build that mental resilience. And think about it going into the winter months, how that can help you with your mental resilience. One of my favorite books is by Cal Newport, and it's called Deep Work. He talks about in this book the idea of having distraction-free periods of time where you can do deep thinking and deep work. I'll call it a streak. He doesn't call it a streak in his book, but he has a streak of daily focus. He believes that setting aside a specific, consistent block of time each day for deep, focused work builds mental resilience, helping him and also others to handle complex challenges and distractions in the modern workplace. If you have not read Deep Work, I highly recommend it. And then think about how you can operationalize that particular book, Set a Streak. I know an individual who recently, and a great big congratulations to him, one of our streakers out there, who recently got his PhD. And he will tell you that a lot of what he went through in his PhD, he used streaks to accomplish. One in particular was a streak that he said, now we talk about laughably simple. Before I tell you this, just know that your laughably simple is yours. It's what you determine. It's what you decide. It's your laughably simple. He determined that he needed to set a streak to write at least 300 words every single day. That was what he was going to use in order to write this large dissertation that was required of him in order to get his PhD. I was invited to see him defend his doctoral dissertation, and it was phenomenal. He's very well spoken, knew his subject inside and out, and will tell you that it was a streak that helped him accomplish what he needed to do in order to finish that doctoral work with 4 children, working a full-time job. All of that was done while he was doing all of that while he finished his PhD. So how then do you maintain this streak? Now I've talked about it quite a bit, but I want to go into it a little bit more. You're familiar with, maybe you're familiar with, I don't know if you're familiar with Brandon Sanderson. There's many of his books that I read and enjoy. He writes the Stormlight Chronicles. He also has written several other science fiction books. The World of the Cosmere is a place where he puts a lot of his fiction books. And then there's other ones that he has as well. I was listening to him once say he writes at least 500 words a day. Now, he's a professional writer, and writing 500 words a day is probably laughably simple for him. For you, it may be too much. I know for me, my writing streak is to write at least 1 sentence every day for a book, article, or letter. I give myself a lot of places to write. That is my streak, and I found that helps me to keep writing and going forward. His streak is 500. Now, what starts the streak and what keeps the streak alive? First of all, why did I want to start the streak of writing at least 1 time every day? If you go to the highest level, it's who I want to be. And one of the things I want to be is a persuasive, thought-provoking, engaging, energizing, enthusiastic, entertaining writer. That's one of the things I want to be. In order to accomplish that, I need to be writing every single day. The question for you is, what do you want to be? Now, that's one level of motivation that can help you start and keep a streak alive. Here's another level is you want to accomplish a specific goal. There's a goal that you want to go after, and therefore that's what you use as your motivation to start and keep your streaks alive. The streak gamifies everything so that you can accomplish the goal that you want to get. You're familiar with the Harry Potter series. You know that J.K. Rowling has streaks, even though she doesn't call them that. Also, many athletes do as well. As we finish up here, just in conclusion, as we look at what it is we've talked about today, building mental resilience going into the winter months, take and look at what it is you want to be or become, or a goal that you want to accomplish, and then think about 1 or 2 streaks that will allow you to do that. If this is your first time in going after a streak, if it's something that you haven't done before, start with 1. And with that 1 streak, establish it such that you've done it for 100 days or so. Keep track of it in the My Streaks app. And we've built in some fun gamification in there. You can rank up, you can get experience points. And it's very simple to keep track of. We back up all your streaks. You can have them across multiple devices, all of that. Most importantly, though, is that you decide what streak you want to do and keep that streak alive. I invite you to do that as you go into the winter months, and you will notice a marked difference in your mental resilience. If you're pursuing an academic degree, if you are simply trying to graduate from high school, if you are working diligently to get a certificate in your business or in your profession, setting a streak can not only help you accomplish that, but also can help you maintain balance in all the other areas of your life: mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. I have streaks in every single one of those areas, and it helps me in the difficult times of life. Thanks so much for joining me today. In the next episode, we will continue our conversation about how streaks are going to help you. And in particular, one of those that we're going to talk about is the compound effect of streaking and how every single streak leads to a breakthrough result. We'll talk about some of the breakthrough results that have happened and will continue to happen for some of our streakers that are out there. Until that time comes, I hope that you have a marvelous, fantastic, wonderful day. If you'd like to ask me any questions, please reach out to me via email at Jeffery, Jeffery, at mystreaksapp, mystreaks app.com. Again, that's Jeffery, Jeffery, at mystreaksapp.com. Shoot me a note. Let me know if you have any questions or have any thoughts. Love to hear from them. If you want to learn more about streaking, you can order the streaking book from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or anywhere books are sold. You can also download the Audible, which Jamie and I read and had a great time reading it. But download the Audible of streaking. It'll give you some really good feel for how to get started and move forward with your streaks. Until we talk again, keep streaking.